Hi, I'm Gina Wagers, and I'm just going to start with a little bit of background about me. This is my ninth overall year in education. This is my eighth year as a reading intervention teacher with USD 475. When I first moved here from Michigan, I started at the high school as the reading intervention teacher, and then our new superintendent started a new program that was meant to be like an academic intervention for 7th and 8th graders. And so I have been working as the reading intervention teacher with the magnet program for the last 3 years. We also are working on in our building, which is the HD Carnes building here, creating more of a true like alternative school setting. So we also are creating a choice program, which is more of a behavior intervention program. So I have started working with some of those students as well. I'm also the SIT coordinator for our students in this building. So I have quite a few roles that I play here. To get started with some of the article summary, what are ethics and why are they important? I think simply defined, ethics are your sense of right and wrong or good and bad. Beyond shaping individual perspective, though, ethics help an individual to create a decision-making process which they follow, and then it helps them to judge the effectiveness of their decisions against whatever outcome they're hoping to achieve. Ultimately, I think ethics influence how we measure our ability to successfully govern ourselves, but also then to navigate relationships with others. So what are the differences between personal and professional ethics? While personal ethics shape an individual's morals and the code of conduct that they choose to follow independently, professional ethics are the values and principles that are introduced to a person through a professional organization or whatever organization they're working with or for. Even though many individuals make workplace decisions based on their personal code of ethics, professional ethics are more strictly adhered to because they are agreed upon typically within the organization that they represent, and they represent the overall organization's values as well. So again, simply put, professional ethics shape the environment and the perceived professionalism of the individuals that are within that organization. So then what are the differences between personal and professional ethics? To kind of break down some of the specific traits that were listed in the resources from this module, personal ethics had more to do with your personal feelings and beliefs, concepts like forgiveness, being hardworking, courage. Professional ethics listed things like equity in decision-making, consistency, empathy, self-reflection, continuous improvement, transparent communication, and then being competent or having knowledge in whatever role you're filling. I think there were a lot of overlap between personal and professional ethics as well, so I included a column in the chart for that. Ideas like honesty, respect, being cooperative or being inclusive, a sense of responsibility, and then also accountability. And I think on the far right, where I have a column for my ethics, I agree that all of these are important to me, but I included a star in those specific traits that I feel like are the easiest to maybe measure or see on a day-to-day basis in a professional setting. So I think you can see how hardworking I am. I always strive to be honest and respectful in all of my interactions with all of the people and students that I deal with. I do have a deep sense of responsibility and I take accountability pretty seriously. I agree that decision making should be equitable, and I strive to always make sure that I'm being consistent and empathetic when I'm looking at situations and trying to make decisions. I do practice regular self-reflection. I feel like that's an important part of improving and being aware of what your ethics are and how they're impacting your decision-making process. As far as areas that I felt like were a little bit harder to measure or maybe more inconsistent just for me personally, were maybe forgiveness when it comes to professional ethics or just cooperation, just because I feel like on a day-to-day basis, I'm not always meeting with every team member or interacting with every parent or stakeholder. So I think sometimes it's harder to be more consistent with some of those things, but it is something that now that I'm kind of aware of that, I think is something that I can maybe strive to work on a little bit more. So what does ethical leadership look like? Ethical leadership entails acting with conscientious effort to exemplify the highest ethical standards. So not only does this place the responsibility of like modeling ethical behavior on people who are in leadership positions, but essentially they are the ones responsible for walking the walk and talking the talk, both in personal and professional life. I think it's hard to separate out who you are when you're away from work from who you are or who you want to be or how you want people to perceive you when you're at work. So I think there is overlap ultimately. And ethical leaders communicate those values that shape the organization and the environment, and ultimately they also influence individuals that they lead in order to promote the success of everybody that's involved. So how do ethics lead to student and adult success? Well, ethics help guide the decision-making process and relationships that we have with other people, especially in situations where decision-making involves or impacts other people. So I think integrating ethics into leadership not only provides a solid foundation for self-reflection, but it also enables leaders to measure the success of other stakeholders in fulfilling the vision of the organization or the school because they have those shared values. So then what are professional norms? Professional norms are the agreed upon behaviors and mindsets that are integral to an organization's success because they influence the working relationships developed between stakeholders and they guide every aspect of the decision-making process. Principals, according to one of our resources, are in this unique position because they have the ability to bring all of those factors together. And inevitably, that's what determines the success or failure of the school and those that they're responsible for leading. So I think when we think about professional norms, they're setting the tone for those things. They're setting those expectations and they're modeling those things. So it's really, they go hand in hand. And I don't know how you would be a successful leader without establishing those norms. Advocating for ethics and professionalism in education. So beyond just supervising staff or serving as a decision maker for school operations, an essential role of the building principal is to serve as a reference point regarding professional and ethical behavior. Again, they walk the walk, they talk the talk. People look to them to set the tone for a lot of the decision making and things that happen in the building. So in addition to being aware and responsible for individual thoughts and actions, building leaders are also individuals who have to foresee and then also analyze any potential ramifications of decisions that they make. But also they are assuming responsibility for decisions that they're not directly responsible for decisions that they guide or how they influence their staff and students and parents to make decisions as well. So simply put, the building principal is the strongest example and advocate for ethics and professionalism within their school. So to reflect on all this, principles of ethical leadership that I think influence my current decision-making process the most would just be that idea that personal ethics influence professional ethics. I like to think that I am a pretty consistent person between who I am outside of work and the kind of person and the things that I value inside of work with colleagues as well. So consistency to me is a really important thing just between those values and what I bring to the work environment, so that people know that who I am is who I am, regardless of when they see me outside on the corner, out shopping, or whether I'm in the school building. Some changes that I think I need to make to become a highly successful future school leader would be just to utilize empathy to support professional growth of other people, and to encourage them to grow their competence as well. I think for me, an important part of that is just being understanding of meeting people where they are and allowing them the space to grow, because not everybody is going to be coming to the building with the same level of expertise and confidence that you might have. So I think maintaining that balance when you're having tough conversations about areas that need to be improved is super important. Utilizing that empathy so that everybody understands that this is a team, that we work together to make these decisions and achieve these outcomes is the most important thing. How do I advocate for ethical decisions and cultivate professional norms? I think just consistently model those things. Again, like who I am, the things that I value, making sure that my decisions are aligning with that, and that whoever is in front of me talking to me at that moment, the decision is not going to change and it's not going to affect how I view a situation, that I can be fair and equitable in everything that I decide. So some concluding thoughts. This assignment demonstrates correlation to the standard in that it allowed me to reflect on my strengths and weaknesses as an educator and future school leader, because it gave me the opportunity to consider my personal values and how those influence the decision-making process that I use in my professional life. This assignment also allowed me to consider the role that ethics plays in creating an environment that can help a leader to support the success of students, staff, and stakeholders that are all connected with the school. Relevancy. This assignment was relevant to my learning because it allowed me to gain a better understanding of how important ethics and ethical decision-making are when you assume a leadership role. It also gave me an opportunity to identify the personal and professional ethics that are being cultivated within the school that I work specifically based on what our staff values and what kind of program we're trying to build here. This assignment reinforced that idea that leaders are not only responsible for modeling ethical behavior, but they're also responsible for cultivating relationships that inspire other people then to also successfully meet those same standards. This assignment has better prepared me for the role of a school leader because I have gained knowledge about the ways in which the values of a school's community not only shape the vision and mission statement of that school, but then also influence the professional ethics of that school staff. My awareness of my professional ethics and beliefs will help me better navigate decision-making from a leadership position because I have a better understanding of how to balance my individual expectations with the values and the needs of stakeholders in order to promote success for the school and everybody that's involved in that. And then to conclude, I have listed the references.